So this is the time of service where we get to rest our minds and still our bodies for just a few moments as we go into meditation. This is, I'm going to invite you to try something different this morning in our meditation. But first, before we do that, let's just get fully comfortable in your chair or wherever you're sitting. If you're watching this on Facebook, just sit and begin to still your body. The ancient teachers tell us that in these moments of meditation, we are aware that we have a body and we are choosing in our consciousness to keep it still. For that's where we touch this place of the divine within us, is when we are still in body and mind. So begin to still your body, rest comfortably, and then we turn to the breath. Close your outer eyes if that's comfortable as well. And take a deep breath in, and then fully exhale. Inhale, and then release fully. Begin to return your attention to this normal breathing and be conscious of this life force moving in and through you right now. Breathe. Breathe. In and out. I breathe in, I breathe out. I breathe in, I breathe out. As soon as we do that, we feel the relaxation coming over us in our body and our mind. So still your heart and open your mind and be aware of this presence that you are. This oneness that you are with the universe. It's oneness that you are with all. And as we still the body, now we still the mind. There's no way to control it. We just let the thoughts come and go. We just don't attach to them. If you can do that for just a few moments, you become an enlightened being, at least for the moment. Don't attach to the thought. If you attach to it, just come right back to the breath. This is the meditation practice. We attach to the thought, then we come back, and that's practice of meditation. So as we've studied this book, 5 Invitations, and how death can teach us how to live more fully. So many truths in this book that the author has shared with us about how we live based on teachers that have died for us before. There's one story in this book that I was going to share with you this morning that I invite you to listen. The Zen practice, again, he's a Zen. The Zen practice is to write a short death poem. And while that may sound difficult to do, I call it a life poem. We're really writing a poem about our life. In the book, there's a passage that one of his patients writes, and I want to share that with you, and then we'll go into the silence and see what comes up for you in this moment. This is Sonyo's death poem. Don't just stand there with your hair turning gray. Soon enough, the seas will sink your little island. So while there is still the illusion of time, set out for another shore. No sense packing a bag. You won't be able to lift it into your boat. Give away all your collections. Take only new seeds and an old stick. Send out some prayers on the wind before you sail. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Someone knows you are coming. An extra fish has been salted. So as you reflect on the words of this poem just real quickly, that's why I call it, it's more of a life poem. And that's what we're learning here. So I invite you to take these lessons that we've learned from the 5 intentions and do something with them. Don't wait. Cultivate a don't know mind so that you can bring your whole self to whatever experience you are. Let go. Push away nothing. Push away nothing. And then in our doing, we find rest. Don't wait. So in this moment, a few moments of silence, think about this poem and how it resonates with you. And even if you come up with the 3 or 4 lines, you can remember them, write them down later, and write your life poem, or death poem as you wish. So now in this moment, this precious moment of peace, as we go within, there is only peace. Only peace. Quiet, calm, undisturbed peace. There is nothing but peace in the silence. In the silence. In the silence. So now in this place of rest, feel this peace, the peace that you are. You are surrounded by peace, immersed in peace. Nothing but peace. Breathe that into the depth of your being. Now as you take a deep breath, fully inhaling and exhaling, as you inhale, just hold it for a second and then fully release. And when you're ready, you can open your outer eyes. Begin to move your fingers and toes. Roll your shoulders if that's comfortable and come back to this room. So today is Cultivate, Don't Know Mind from Frank Ostaseski. And Rose read just a little bit of the highlight of this. It seems like an oxymoron, doesn't it, to say cultivate, don't know mind. But first, today is Palm Sunday. In the traditional Christian calendar, this begins Holy Week, leading to the death and resurrection of Jesus. In Unity, we follow to a degree these traditional events, but mostly we look at the metaphysical meanings of these traditions and how we can be raised up in our own consciousness. And we'll talk about that next Sunday at Easter. I remember Bill, I was looking at some of my notes, and Bill did a conversation or did a class with us while we were at the temple about some of the traditional holidays of the traditional Christianity practices. And while we say we're inclusive, everybody's welcome to believe what you want to be and practice how you want to practice, there are a lot of things about these traditional these traditions that if you study them from a Jewish perspective, they have a whole new light of understanding. We in the West have just assumed these traditions based on the way we've been taught for a long time, hundreds of years, and yet if you look at it from Jewish eyes, you see it totally different, and maybe we can get into that at another point. Today, and I may be rationalizing here, we're going to talk about 5 invitations, Cultivate, Don't Know Mind, on Palm Sunday, because I think it's about raising our consciousness. This is the beginning of raising our consciousness, at least to mark that on Easter next Sunday. And I think there's nothing, this book has done that for me. I think Melissa was the one sharing with you a few weeks ago, and she said this will stay on her shelf for a long time. It's just an amazing book. So the elements of Don't Know Mind. Bill, go to the next slide. So you remember, don't wait, welcome everything, push away nothing. Bring your whole self to the experience, find a place of rest in the middle of things, and cultivate, don't know mind. And so today is the 5th invitation, cultivate, don't know mind. And again, it sounds oxymoron, so we'll get like an oxymoron, so we'll get into that. The elements, I've told you before that each one of these invitations has 3 or 4 chapters with them, and the elements of the 5th, that text is a little small, but it's the elements of the don't know mind are the story of forgetfulness. And I heard somebody talking about memories, and it's kind of really synergistic because that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. Not knowing is the most intimate thing we can do, we can experience, and then surrender to the sacred. So this don't know mind comes from a Zen koan. That's pronounced koan, sort of. It's K-O-A-N. If Melissa was here, she'd tell us exactly how to pronounce it. It's a phonetic. It doesn't really translate to how we would pronounce it. The Zen koan is a story that brings a spiritual lesson to everyday human events. It's a guidance so that we can deal with all the human problems that we have come from the monks and the Buddha. It's like a parable or a story. It's a saying. And seems irrational to think that don't know mind would bring us any peace. So how can that bring peace? That's the story. Or bring enlightenment even for a moment. How can cultivate don't know mind bring peace to your life? So because we live in a world of constant knowledge, and there's even a cliche that we've had to invent and put in place called a win-win situation. It's because we've created a culture where we always have to win in all aspects of our lives. It seems like that we always have to have the right answer. We have to be an expert. We have to engage as an expert, even if we aren't an expert. So cultivate mind does not say to ignore our reason or our logical mind. Doesn't say that. But we need to survive, because we need that kind of thing to survive in the world. Yet individually and corporately, we've become so rigid in our thinking, so rigid in our knowledge, that we can't even receive new things in our life, new opportunities, new possibilities. It's this rigid thinking to be right limits our possibilities. Don't know mind loosens that rigidity so that we don't have to have all the answers. We don't have to have all the answers. It's okay to say, I don't know. 3 words, I don't know. It's okay to say that. It opens us to greater wisdom, actually. We're wiser when we say, I don't know. Cultivate I don't know mind. We've been trained both in our education and in our society and our interactions, narrow-focused, to always be right. To always be right. We can be retrained to see things with a new and open mind. So one of the examples of this that came to me while I was talking about this is the relationship with my wife. So in our conversations about life events or just daily activities, I frequently will jump in and say, this is the right way to do it. This is what we should do. Well, you're laughing because you've probably been there too. Not with my wife, but probably with one of yours. But we know instantly that we can be. There's corrections that can be made to that. We don't even have to think about it. We know we're going to be corrected. Now I'm talking as the husband here to the wife. You should hear what her side of that would be. But for me, I may not remember the sequence of events, and he talks about that in the book. Sometimes we get so carried away with being right. The dates, what color were they wearing? What shirt color were they wearing? We get so carried away with having to be right. And the idea is to let it go. And hopefully, quickly, when I'm in these conversations now, I can let go. I don't have to be right. And I can say, you're right. She probably has a better memory of all the past. Usually we're arguing about something in the past or something in the future. So I admit I must be reminded of this, however. The next conversation I'll probably slip back, but I have to be reminded. I don't know response because the ego immediately wants to jump to this paradigm that I'm always right. The quicker I can learn it in a conversation, the quicker I'm open. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about being open. Cultivate don't know mind isn't a restriction at all. It's a freeing of rigidity. So why has all this happened to us? Well, the essence of this, what goes on with us, is the essence of brain science. I overheard the conversation. If you took a language in high school, and you haven't used it for a while, you're a little rusty. You may remember a few phrases. And, I took Latin for 3 years in high school. Don't ask me why. It seemed like it was the thing to do. And I only remember a couple key phrases in Latin. Ego amo te. and probably not with the southern accent, Chattanooga accent, that probably is nowhere close. Ego emote means I love you. Venti, vidi, vici, we've all heard of that one. I came, I saw, I conquered. And there's all kinds of other ones that in Latin, which we don't use, but even Spanish or French or whatever language you took, if you don't use it, you lose it. So our memories are constantly being rebuilt. Forgetfulness is built into our brains. Forgetfulness, that's the story of forgetfulness. And yet, we get so rigid about the way things are, and the memories may not be complete. Our beliefs, our paradigms look through these old lenses based on our belief. Our paradigm is the way we see the world based on the way it was formed, in previous life experiences at every level. And all these inputs come to us, and we form how we see the world. And that's what we get into when we say we have to be right. Memories fail. Memories are being rewritten. This is part of the process of being alive. So it's best then to focus on remembering what matters most, not the details, not the dates, but we are loved, and we love, and we are capable of loving others. Remember that in the conversations. Some of the details that we get so much angst about, it don't matter. So we are not just what we think, what we say, or what we do, and certainly not what we remember. If we had to trust just our memories to say this is who we are, we'd be in trouble. And why is that? We can look beyond the past of the memories. I could be totally wrong, and yet have the freedom of having an open mind. So again, the brain science tells us that there's it varies. There's different records I found of this. We have somewhere between 12,000 and 70,000 thoughts a day. That's what the brain science teaches us today. And this is even more disturbing to me. This is what they say. 80% of those thoughts are negative. 80%. And 95% of our thoughts are repetitive. If we ever needed a reason to meditate, that's it. So all the negative thoughts are not bad. Being alert can help you survive. Most negative thoughts can help you survive, but then you realize that most of them are useless. They only create imaginary drama in your mind. The negative thoughts create drama. I always say, whatever you're thinking in your mind about some drama is worse than the actual happening that it would be. That's what doing that. That's what our minds do to us. Human thoughts about hunger and thirst in our environment, all those things are coming through our mind, and then they're repetitive throughout our day. That's according to National Science Foundation. So there's another Zen saying that's real close to "don't cultivate mind," and that's, you've heard it all, beginner's mind. With beginner's mind, we have an infinite number of options and possibilities to experience life, to experience all the possibilities and all the awe and wonder in our life. It's beginner's mind is almost the antithesis of expert mind, almost. It's not saying that we don't have experts and that we don't need experts, but most of the time in our daily lives, we don't need an expert, and I don't need to be telling you how much of an expert I am, especially with my wife. We limit the options because we have all the answers. We limit our options. Rather than expand them, we limit them. So approach life from beginner's mind, or don't cultivate don't know mind, in every aspect of our life. These teachings come from all spiritual teachers, and they encourage us to live in the present moment. So can you think of a parallel teaching of this when I say all spiritual teachers that Jesus gave us? What's a parallel teaching of this, that he don't cultivate mind, cultivate don't know mind? What's our beginner's mind? What's an example that Jesus did for that?
Children.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm going to read you Matthew 18, 1 through 5. No, I don't. Becky, you read the book too. He didn't talk about that in the book, but it came to me that that's exactly what Jesus was saying when he said this. He was at Capernaum with the disciples, and at that time the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" He called a child whom he put among them, and he said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." Now, understand the kingdom of heaven, when he talks about it, is now. It's not something off in the distance. It's right now. You will never enter the kingdom of heaven right now. You won't live in the present moment unless you become like little children. Whoever becomes humble like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. Wow. Wow. That sounds like the path to enlightenment, doesn't it? So there's so much brilliance in the story. Children have a sense of wonder and awe in everything they do. I get to be around them every day. The kingdom of heaven is here right now. We don't have to wait. It's not now. It's now, not later. So when we're living as children, we're cultivating don't know mind, beginner's mind. And there's a consciousness or humility, compassion, love, and understanding. It is during these times we can truly live from our Christ consciousness as we are living living as a child. Doesn't mean that we're childlike. Doesn't mean that we're forgetting our knowledge. It means that we're humbly accepting the now moment and recognizing the truth of our being. It's living in the flow, looking for awe and wonder. And as a child, as childlike, we welcome everything, just like what we've studied here in this book. So it isn't about being a child at a maturity level. It is consciousness. It's growing in consciousness. Humility like a child. Most of the time, they get a little rambunctious too, can't they? But when our ego is childlike, we bring our whole being into the situation, into the events of our lives. So by doing this, we invite the sacred. We invite the sacred into our life. Not knowing is a gateway to deeper appreciation of the potency of our basic nature. We cannot be known by the conceptual mind alone, which is what we try to do when we say we're right all the time. It takes us beyond our ordinary way of thinking and seeing. So our reality can't be mapped per se. We can't fully map it because it's so dynamic. And so, we exist and then we don't. And the reality of what he's talking about, of life and death, we exist and then we don't. So anytime that we're going through these kinds of experiences of thinking that we're right, look within to see if there's another way, another path. When we welcome don't know mind, we are free for new possibilities with fresh eyes and wonder. We are free from pride and arrogance. We open our heart to bring our whole new self. We can welcome the situations as it is, and welcome ourself, our whole self, then living from the Christ center in our being. To know the sacred is not to see new things. It's not to see new things, but rather to see things in a new way. See things in a new way. Again, that's moving away from the way I see things is the right way. But moving in this, when we're in this sacred place of cultivate don't know mind, we see things in a different way. And dying is an opportunity to uncover what is hidden. So he talks about, in the book, he talks about deep silence is not merely a pause between sounds. It is an inner quietness felt in the heart, still as new fallen snow on a mountain pass. The silence strips us of both belief and disbelief. Strips us of both belief and disbelief. It takes us beyond the known, beyond language, and into the sacred. That's what Cultivate Don't Mind can do. Cultivate Don't Mind can do for us. So there's an affirmation for, I want to share this affirmation with you as we close here. This is an affirmation that he has in the book, and I'll read it once and then ask you to say it with me. I enthusiastically greet each day with receptivity and wonder, ready to meet whatever shows up as it is. Divine ideas and solutions arrive in surprising and wonderful ways. With an open heart and open mind, I experience life with wonder and awe as if it was the first time. So, if you can see that, let's say it together. I enthusiastically greet each day with receptivity and wonder, ready to meet whatever shows up as it is. Divine ideas and solutions arrive in surprising and wonderful ways. With an open heart and open mind, I experience life with awe and wonder and awe, as if for the first time. Yeah. So there's an epilogue in this book, so we're coming up to the close of the book. And he calls it Dying into Life. And I want to share with you this poem by Rumi that he has in the book as we begin to close up. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. Poem by Rumi. So in closing, what I would say to you and challenge you in this, and particularly even in this Easter season, don't wait. Don't wait. Contemplate life and death and the inherent mystery in life and death in each moment. Contemplate it in each moment, for it's too important to be left until our final hours. Cultivate a don't know mind so that you can bring your whole self to any situation. So you can welcome everything, pushing away nothing. And as we engage and see life with new eyes, we find rest in the middle of everything. Namaste.
On the message and the meditation. Really enjoyed that, and we appreciate you. Thanks so much. Let's see, before we close, I just want to mention that we still have a lot of food in the kitchen. So we would really like for you to stay and eat something with us. So stick around for a while. Oh, birthdays, yeah, here we go. Thanks, Ron, for reminding me. We do have a couple of birthdays on our announcement sheet. Let me see if I can remember who they are. I know it's Michael Grant and is it Paula? Paula Merck. Uh-oh, there's one in the back that we don't have on our announcement sheet. I wonder. It's Tim. Okay, April what? 30th. Okay. Okay, let's see. It's the accent. She said, the 30th? Okay, we got that right. All right. Okay. Thank you, Tim. All right, so any others that we know of in April? We're talking about the month of April. We're going to sing happy birthday to all those who have birthdays in April. So Tim and Paula and Michael Grant. Okay. Are we ready? Happy birthday to you, there's no one like you, uniquely created, I love knowing you. I bless you with life and abundance galore. God bless you, my loved one, and have many more. Yeah. Okay, I'm looking at the number of people that we have here to form our circle for the peace song. So should we try to make it in the back there? Let's try that. We'll go back here. Will this won't matter if it's too close to here, does it? It's all right? Okay. All right, here we go.